Hello, mi gente, and welcome to Espanglish. I want to say how proud I am of these kids. I mean, all of them, the ones that march across the United States and across the world, too. Not only in memory of the Parkland victims and all the hundreds of others, not counting the thousands of injured and probably have PTSD in some ways, but also for their future. These kids marched and rallied with the promise that if politicians don't listen to their cries for help and for change, they're going to vote them out. And a lot of them are 18 already, or will be 18 by November, and they will vote them out. This is going to change. This is a movement. It's not just a fad or something that's happening now, for a news cycle and then people are going to forget about it. It's not. And the reason why is unfortunately because there's going to be another mass shooting soon. It's just the odds are that unless things happen, it's going to keep happening. And this is going to be in the forefront of people's minds. So because of that, and because these teens and really this nation is energized and rallying behind their leadership to change our archaic and dangerous gun laws. Nobody wants to take your guns. We want to make sure that, when people say we want to change our gun laws, the right, the extreme right, really, immediately goes, they want to take away your guns, they want to destroy the Second Amendment. And it's really a strawman argument. They do it because it scares people. But anybody who's rational can actually listen and say, oh, wait, what exactly they want to do? And then you'll know that we're talking about universal background checks. We're talking about banning assault weapons that have there's no need for them to be in the hands of civilians. They're weapons of war, and the whole purpose is to kill lots of people very, very fast, very quickly. So things like that. That's what we want. We don't want to take your guns. We just want to have reasonable gun control laws to save lives. If you look around the world, all those nations that have the stricter gun control laws have less gun deaths in general. I mean, it makes sense. It's not a Jedi mind trick. I mean, it's really, really simple. Less guns equals less gun deaths. It's as simple as that. Of course, I have to mention the Stormy Daniels 60-minute interview. I haven't watched it yet, but the fact that this is on the news, the fact that our president is being accused by 19 women, and now this porn star or ex-porn star is talking about their affair while he was married. The fact that it's in the news at all, it should really concern a lot of conservatives who claim to be pro-family values, but now when it comes to Trump, somehow they always excuse anything he does or did or is doing. So the level of hypocrisy is just over 9,000. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot criticize Bill Clinton and then praise Donald Trump. It doesn't work that way, guys. So yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about it in detail in the upcoming episode. Even the fact that the president, that this is being talked about, that his name is being brought up next to a porn star, it should tell you how low this whole presidency has debased itself to. It's just, I don't think it can go any lower. Well, he probably can, knowing him. But seriously, it baffles my mind that the Fox News crowd can be so adamant about morality and being faithful and things that are good, but when it comes to their guy, they ignore everything that he's done, which is the opposite of what they say they stand for. So again, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot criticize Clinton and then praise Trump. You cannot say you're pro family and pro Christian values when you're elected and supporting a man who is a complete opposite of those things. So today's topic, Black Lives Matter. I want to try to understand why this is such a controversial issue when it really shouldn't be. So the actual movement itself, the organization Black Lives Matter, started after Trayvon Martin was killed, and after George Zimmerman was acquitted. And then the whole Eric Garner case also drew a lot of attention and to the movement, but it started as a hashtag online, as hashtag Black Lives Matter. And then from there, it actually became a movement. And this movement was founded by 3 community organizers, Alicia Garza, Patrice Coulors, and Opal Tometi. I probably messed up 2 of those names, except Alicia Garza, because it's a Hispanic name, so I can say that one. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, that's how it started. Of course, it became this movement of people rallying behind that cry. And not long after, you see all this rival hashtags popping up everywhere. All lives matter or blue lives matter. So I'm gonna pretend for this episode that the people listening don't know why that is so idiotic to bring that up as a response to Black Lives Matter. So I'm gonna try to really, really understand and pretend that people are doing this not because they're racist or prejudiced, but because they actually don't understand Black Lives Matter or what it means. Okay, so after a series of high-profile shootings by police officers, or in the case of Trayvon Martin, a citizen who was armed and because of the Florida law was apparently justified according to the courts in killing an unarmed teenager. Because of that, and because of the many acquittals that we've seen over the years, people start asking themselves, do Black lives matter? Because every time a black person gets killed by the police officers get acquitted. So that's what Black Lives Matters mean. It's really an invisible T-O-O. It's just saying we've been here all along, and even though our complexion of our skin is darker, we still matter. And it's really echoing that whole racist history of this country since almost its inception, really. It's saying you can't just kill us and not answer for your crimes. And that's what it starts. I mean, that's what it means. So when you say that, oh, well, all lives matter, then you're really being a jerk, yeah? But you're demeaning the movement with your little statement that it doesn't even understand why the movement started in the first place. It just really shows your ignorance that when you say all lives matter, or blue lives matter for that matter. So when you say blue lives matter, for example, you're saying the same thing. You're saying, well, how about cops? Do cops' own lives don't matter? Well, of course they do. Of course they do. They're human beings. But first of all, nobody's blue. Cops are not blue. They're just regular people. So it doesn't even make any sense from a standpoint. If you want to equate it, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because unless the cops are Smurfs, they're not blue per se. So even from that standpoint, it's ridiculous. And yeah, police lives matter. Of course they do. Just like all lives matter. But you're hijacking a movement, and that's just wrong. It's like going to a funeral for your friend's grandma and saying, hey, I know you lost your grandma, but I lost my grandma too. Hey, look at me. I lost my grandma 2 years ago. It's like you're taking away from the severity and the importance of their moment for you to make a point about yourself. And again, I know people who say that and maybe just didn't understand what Black Lives Matter meant. But I also know of people who are saying all lives matter because they're prejudiced, because they think, wait, what about I'm white? Does that mean I don't matter? Well, yeah, nobody's saying you don't matter. But if you look around, the system believes you matter. If you look around, blacks and Latinos are incarcerated for a longer period of time and more often than white people. And the police definitely kills black people a lot more times than it does white people, especially, and Latinos too. So that's why Black Lives Matter is important. It's saying we matter. We're human beings. We're people. We bleed just like you. We have families. We're not just this monster coming to get you at night. We're just regular people. We matter too. That's what it means. So yeah, if you're white, of course your life matters because it is evident by society. When you look at the movies, when you go to the store, when you go to your job, when you go to the boardrooms, yeah, white lives matter. But if you go to those places and you're a black person or even Latino or Latinx, you realize, wait a minute, do I matter? Do I count? Do I have a voice here? So please stop being so hurt when somebody says Black Lives Matter. Instead, join them and say, yeah, Black lives do matter and I'm support you and I'm with you. That's what you should do, not go around and come up with your own crazy hashtags to support this narrative that is only in your head and it's really only based on your experience but not reality. Because reality is that, yeah, white lives matter and cops are really valued in this country, and they do the good cops do a wonderful job, but there are bad cops, and that's a reality, and you have to accept that. There are cops because they're human beings who are prejudiced, who are racist, and when they see a black person with a cell phone, like just happened recently, they'll shoot them 20 times because they're black, because they have that mentality in their head that this black person is scary. So yeah, join us because Black Lives Matter, and we have to make sure that they do, because right now it sure looks like they don't. That's what this is all about. Thanks for listening, guys. Real quick before you go, I want to remind you again about my Patreon account. If you like this podcast, if you think that what I do here is valuable and it adds to your life, to your dialogue, please go to patreon.com/Espanglish, and you can, for $1 a month, you can support me and you get rewards too. I mean, that's like $12 a year. That's like nothing. So for that little amount, you can make sure this podcast not only gets better, I can spend more time editing it, I can spend more time working on it, but I can also buy better equipment and even interview guests. But I can't do it without you. So if you feel like you've gotten anything out of this podcast, again, I urge you and I encourage you to be part of it. We can be partners together. You can get a lot of cool rewards just by donating as little as $1 a month. Again, that's patreon.com/Espanglish. Thank you so much.